Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast, your one-stop shop for daily Miami Heat content. So before I get into today's episode, just want to thank everybody for supporting the channel. I'm on my path to 2,000 subscribers. So if you guys do enjoy the content or if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. So for today's episode, I want to talk about three of the biggest questions that the Miami Heat need to address as training camp approaches next week. So the first question that the Miami Heat are going to need to address this training camp is, what will the starting five look like? Created videos in the past speculating who we think the starting five will be this upcoming season. And we also created some videos based on a report that came out or an article that came out suggesting that the Miami Heat only have two guaranteed starters heading into the next season. Our assumption for that, and all Miami Heat fans' assumption, should be that that's Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, meaning there's no guarantee that Terry Rozier, Tyler Hero, Nikola Jovic, Jaime Jaquez, Haywood Highsmith are going to start. So basically, Eric Spoelstra is saying that the team is going to be competing for these starting spots. So just because we had lineups last season that kind of worked doesn't mean we're necessarily going to go with that, because we have added new pieces to this team through free agency, through the draft, and signing undrafted players as well. So who's going to be that starting lineup? Are we going to play Terry Rozier and Tyler Hero together? They only played 11 or 12 games last season. Didn't look amazing. They both looked redundant. They both are players that need the ball in their hands, that are both offensive-minded players. And so who knows if they're going to start together. Is Nikola Jovic going to start next to Bam as well, like he did last season, so we can have some more size? Or is it going to be Haywood Highsmith for defensive purposes? So are we going to play small ball once again? Or is Jaime Jaquez Jr. going to elevate and play in the starting lineup? We don't know yet. So that's up for competition, which is great. Training camp is going to make these players compete. And all of these players, though, are willing to take on whatever role is necessary based on Eric Spoelstra's system. So we'll see what happens. Iron sharpens iron. So we'll get a better grasp of what that starting lineup could look like by the end of the preseason. But training camp will be a good first data point to see which players are more than likely going to be starting, even though it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, who starts. It really matters more so who finishes the game. So that's one question they'll need to address. Who is going to be the starting lineup? And also let me know in the comments who you think the Miami Heat starting five should be. The next question is going to be, how are their rookies and undrafted rookies going to fit in with this Miami Heat system? Are they going to play? Will they be a part of the rotation? So how are Kel'el Ware, Pele Larson, Keshad Johnson, and players like Isaiah Stevens acclimating with their new teammates? So time will tell. Training camp, this will be their first opportunity to play together, which is great. So the last time we saw these Heat rookies, Kel'el Ware, Pele Larson, Keshad Johnson, before he got injured, was in the Las Vegas Summer League and the California Classic. We know the Miami Heat won the Summer League championship. They went 8-1. And they went 6-0 in Las Vegas. The only game they lost was, of course, the game that I went to in San Francisco, where I live, against the Warriors. So they did play the Warriors. It wasn't the Lakers. But they got their ass beat, lost by like 40-something points, which wasn't fun, but it was cool. I still got to see Kel'el Ware, got to see Keshad Johnson, got to sit next to his family, actually, which was cool. So it was a fun environment and experience. Got to see a doubleheader, got to see the Lakers play against the Kings. But yeah, it's funny, the only loss they had was when I was there. But anyway, it was fun to see Kel'el Ware play, and he was a part of the first team all summer league, which is whatever. But he was arguably one of the top three best players in all of summer league, if not the best player, which helped the Miami Heat win that championship. So that was fun to see Kel'el dominate against that type of competition, which is a step above college, of course. We saw Pele Larson fit in with the Miami Heat system, looking like a good 3-and-D type of player. Brings a lot of tenacity and energy on the defensive end, taking charges, guarding people full court. We saw that he can hit the three. We saw that he can get to the free throw line. Saw he could finish at the rim. He hit the game winner, of course, in the championship to help the Miami Heat win. And then we saw Keyshawn Johnson, of course, being a athletic machine out there, obviously high flying, really good transition player, and then of course really good defender, guarding almost 1 through 5 out there, which is great. So Keyshawn is definitely a Miami Heat culture type of guy. He is a prototypical 3-and-D wing type player. He's 6'7", has a really good wingspan. So we'll see what he can do next season. And so I'm just excited to see what these guys can do against NBA competition. So now they're not playing against guys who are most likely not going to be in the league and just some NBA prospects or some second year players, but they are actually playing against Jimmy Butler, against Bam Adebayo, against Jaime Jaquez Jr., against Terry Rozier, Tyler Hero. Like they're playing against NBA veteran players who are bigger, more physical, more athletic, and more talented. And so we'll see how that learning curve helps with their development. It's going to be great that they're going to be able to play within the Miami Heat system this offseason, and hopefully they get some good reps in the preseason as well. And we could see where they're at and see if any of these guys will crack the rotation next season. I'm assuming out of the 3 players, of course, Kalel will play. And then I think Pele and Kashad, it's all going to be dependent on if players are in foul trouble, if players are just playing horribly, or mainly through injuries. So we'll see. And so speaking of injuries, the third biggest question I think the Miami Heat need to address going into training camp is the injuries that their players sustained either last season or during this offseason. So number one, Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson had left facet syndrome, so he injured his back last season, missed the last 10 regular season games or so. Played in the playoffs against the Boston Celtics, but he was a shell of himself. He couldn't really move, couldn't really dribble or penetrate like he was doing. We saw that he developed that skill set where he was a better on-ball player. Typically, off-ball was his forte, running around like a madman, getting that DHO from Bam Adebayo and hitting threes. But he started facilitating better, averaging more assists he's ever done in his career. I think it was like 3 point something. Became a better ball handler, was finishing at the rim at times. So hoping Duncan Robinson is fully healthy. There was, I think, an article saying that it seems like Duncan Robinson is good to go. So that's going to be good. Terry Rozier had the neck injury last season where he missed the last 14 games and the entire postseason. So Terry Rozier, it was reported that he is actually clear to play 5-on-5 and will be ready to go for training camp. So he's going to be one of our most important players. So that's the primary injury we need to worry about is Terry Rozier, because he's our mid-season acquisition from last season. He's our probably one of our best offensive players and someone we need to step up during the regular season. And so good news there is that Rozier will be heading to training camp and looks like he's healthy enough to play. The last injury is Jovic. So Jovic got injured during the offseason, a workout before he headed into the Olympics. And so there's still a question of whether or not Jovic will be healthy enough. I think he had like a partial fracture or something in his ankle, which sucks. So he actually did have a crack in his bone in his foot, which is not good, but it seems like he is healthy. The Miami Heat were just being cautious. It looks like his team was being cautious as well. Serbia was being cautious. So the best case scenario, though, going into this training camp, going into preseason, and then the regular season, is that all 3 of these players are healthy and look ready to go. So I'm not 100% sure how Rozier, his neck, is going to react. Obviously, when he starts playing full court 5-on-5 and playing full contact, we'll see. Same with Duncan Robinson. It seems like he's good to go. He's been playing 5-on-5, so hopefully that holds up. And then Jovic, I don't know about his foot injury. He's a big guy, 6'11". We'll see. He likes to play in transition, so we'll see how his ankle is treating him. But these are the 3 biggest questions I think the Miami Heat need to answer going into training camp. There's other questions too they can answer, of course, but these are 3 that came up that I think should be top of mind. Let me know what questions you think the Miami Heat need to answer going into training camp before the regular season starts. And again, if you guys are enjoying this content, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.